Football on the Central Coast has been played with pride and passion since 1952, when my father, Pat Morley, was the inaugural president of the Entrance Football Club, the very first football club on the coast. It has been about persevering the tough times, desperate tackles, and a battle for recognition that has created a new heartland for football in this country. We took a moment to interview a range of local icons to hear what football means to them. These stories and countless more typify the true spirit of football on the coast and will set the scene for chapters that are yet to be written.
My first memories of playing football on the coast are playing for Terrigal United as a 6-year-old. Yeah, going down to Terrigal, down to Duffy's Oval, early on a Saturday morning. I still remember my first goal. Ended up playing for East Gosford when I was 18, after playing representative football from under 11s for the coasties at age of 11. I think it was the first age group to turn representative when you were on the coast. So I remember playing under 9s, under 10s, and there was talks of playing for the coasties, and it was the rep team, and they had the emblem of the soccer ball and the wave going over the top, and everyone was talking about playing for the club. So everyone was really excited at that time, and when we hit 11 years of age, and to come on trial, I remember 2 nights, 3 nights a week to come and trial, and everyone was so keen to get into the team, and they used to tell you by letter in those days to whether you made the squad or not. Yeah, my earliest memories of the Mariners was hearing on the radio that the region got a professional football team, and I remember thinking, wow, it was huge, and they spoke about Damien Brown becoming the first local player to sign for the club, and I didn't think of too much of it at the time. Until the team travelled to Perth, and the next day on the radio I heard that Noel Spencer scored the winning goal in the 90th minute, and that was an absolute huge result. And I think once the region started watching the club at Blue Tongue Stadium at the time, we realised we got a special thing on our hands to have our own sporting team, football team on the coast. Well, my memory of wanting to play for the Mariners, I remember in 2005-06 I went overseas to watch Man United versus Liverpool at Old Trafford, and Harry Kewell was playing that night for Liverpool. Rio Ferdinand scored in the 90th minute, and I'll never ever forget that atmosphere. That was a light bulb moment for myself, and I said to my then girlfriend, wife now, that night I said, I want to play professional football, and I got that bug again, and I came home and I actually saw Peter Preston at a Mariners home game. Obviously he's held in high esteem with football on the Central Coast, and I remember seeing him at Blue Tongue half-time of a Mariners game, and he asked me what I was doing because he was involved with Central Coast Lightning at the time, and I was still at East Gosford. And I told him that I wanted to get out there, and I pointed out onto the pitch, and he said, well, the only way you're going to get out there is if you come to Lightning and play with me and play with the boys back in the rep team. So I played with Shirley that year and did quite well, and that's where Laurie first noticed me and invited me to training. Yeah, well, it was the memories of getting my first professional contract was quite difficult. To be called up, I think we played the Mariners in a friendly, Central Coast Lightning versus the Mariners, and I missed a penalty again in that game. But Laurie rang me the next day, taking the mickey out of me about the penalty, and invited me to training. Said they were short on strikers for the pre-season, so. I remember going into training so nervous because it's obviously what I wanted to do. I gave up my job to go into training and to play to train with the team. And Laurie said that he was going to sign me for 4 weeks, but I actually had to serve a 1-game suspension before I could sign. So a yellow card's come to bite me again. But and back then I couldn't serve the 1 game. It wasn't 1 week, it was 1 game, and it actually rained for 4 weeks. So I thought I actually missed my opportunity to sign for the club. But Laurie assured me that when the opportunity came that he would give me a chance, and my first contract was 7 days with Laurie, and I played a pre-season cup game against Newcastle and did quite well. So he said for me to stay at training and train full time, and I did that for a whole year for free, and I just loved coming into training that whole season and get that experience and play with some amazing players. And that second year, that's when I got offered my first contract, and it was a dream come true just to know that you could be actually selected every single week to be a part of the squad. Well, wearing the Central Coast Mariners badge means everything to me. It represents the people of the Central Coast, the region, the community-based club that we are. I'm fortunate enough to captain the side, and I understand how hard Central Coast people work for their money, and for them to put that back into the club to support the team, it's nothing that the boys don't take for granted. Driving to the stadium and being a local player, knowing that people are walking to the stadium in their Mariners jerseys, and thinking that, wow, these people are coming to watch us. There's no better feeling than that. And yeah, it's amazing. I think my first badge in representative football was the Central Coast Coasties badge, and to have that printed on the back of the FFA Cup jersey now and representing the Mariners is something really special, and it's a good initiative from the club, tying the old with the new. And I remember back in the day, there was so many great players playing first grade with Alan Burke, the first grade coach here, and 3,000-4,000 people sitting at this ground watching first grade. There's a lot of tradition and history involved with Central Coast football, and it's good to be able to represent that now as the future goes on.